Patricia, are you the actor that played
Patricia.
Mayor?
Yes.
Good job. Very good job.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Yes, wonderful job.
Thank you.
Absolutely. We're gonna wait for a few more people to come in, and then we wanna talk to Laura and, you know, get some more information about the play, and, you know, oh, here comes Laura. Yeah. Light off behind me. That's better.
Hi, Laura.
Hey, Laura.
Hi,
Hi,
how you
Laura.
doing?
That was so enjoyable. Hi,
Yes,
Charles.
You?
Is it
Chalmers.
Charles or Charles?
Chalmers.
Chalmers.
Yeah.
great job.
Oh, I know. I loved your character. I would love to play a character like that.
Yeah, that was fun.
And hi, Jackie.
Hi there, how are you? Well,
Good to see you. Thank you for coming.
absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
we'll wait just a few more minutes. While we're getting on, I apologize for the technical difficulties. We had about 7 people scrambling
Yes.
to solve the problem. So 7 people in Florida and North Carolina trying to figure out what the problem was, and we finally got it solved. So we apologize for the unhealthy, kind of chaotic beginning. But Laura, I certainly enjoyed that show.
Me too.
I want to wait for
Yeah.
a few more people to come on and ask you some questions and give you a chance to talk.
Okay.
Now, Elisa, how do you know Laura?
We're cousins.
Your
Elisa is
cousins,
my
okay.
first cousin.
Aw.
She lives in California, where I think it's about 6:15, is that correct?
Okay,
Exactly. I'm in California now too. I've got to leave in a few minutes, unfortunately.
okay. Where in California do you live?
I'm in
I
Santa
live
Cruz.
in Maine, but I happen to be visiting friends in San Francisco.
Okay,
Oh,
Okay.
fun.
so Laura, how did this play come about? Talk to us.
Okay, and I'm going to explain why I'm wearing the mask. I feel just like I do when I go into the redneck Trump country general store that's about 5 miles down the road, and everybody should be wearing a mask. And I'm the only one who is.
Wait a minute, are you
the reason
saying
I'm
we're
wearing
all
one now,
rednecks
though,
here?
has to do with being in the absolute worst middle of some dental work. I am between the time when the bridge failed and the new device will be ready on October 20th. So I have got not a whole lot of teeth at the moment, and it bothers me, I'm sure, a lot more than it would anybody else. So I will try to talk distinctly. And then I'll answer the question. This particular piece, I actually wrote to be a companion piece to another history play called Broken Bridges. And I was asked to submit a proposal to a theater, and I wanted a whole evening, and this play is a little bit less than an hour. The other one is as well. And I figured, okay, that's not an evening. So since I'm submitting it to the Bangor Community Theater, I'm going to write a Bangor history play. And I looked for something within my own memory that happened in Bangor that I thought was worthy of turning into a play. And both of these plays turned out to be about women politicians who played a key role. So that's how it came about. And Bangor Community Theater did not end up doing the play, but I did do it a few years later at Bangor Public Library as a benefit. So this is the second time it's been done. And at first it was like, oh, we've already done the production, now we're gonna do a reading. But with this particular group of people who are all playwrights, and the number of times we went through it, I think we've got a much better script now than when we started. So a play that I thought was finished wasn't finished. And I'm still not sure it is. I'm not sure the ending is 100% there yet, but I think we made significant improvements to it. And I liked the group of voices here.
Absolutely.
The demographics were just a little off, had its Zoom wobbles here and there, but I think they really got the gist of it. And it's a wonderful group of playwrights. And as long as we're on Zoom, if anybody wants to join us, we're on Zoom for at least the rest of this semester. We have people joining us from all over now.
Oh, that's great. That's
cool.
fabulous. So it's
We will-
playwrights, is it, when you say playwrights from all over?
Well, actually, it's a Portland, Maine-based group.
Okay.
But I guess it doesn't matter if I let my nose out in here because I'm not breathing at anybody. But we have been meeting on Zoom for about 1.5 years.
Oh, that's great. That's great.
When we meet at USM, though, we have a student group. There's a class, I think it's called Oral Interpretation, and we have a faculty advisor that works with us, and she teaches that class. And so we get some young people there that we get to cast in some of our roles. Most of us are, getting a little along in life. So we have trouble casting our young roles, except when we have students there, and it would be nice to get some younger playwrights in as well. We've decided to stay on Zoom at least till the end of the semester, and then we'll
Great.
see.
That's great. Laura, why don't you introduce your cast and let them, I'd love to hear from them on what it was like to build the characters of these shows.
Okay, of the people, I guess we only have 2 who are here. Patricia Mew, who is one of the people who is no longer in Maine, but is still able to join us because we're on Zoom. She's moved to Massachusetts, both a playwright and an actor. She played an apple tree for me once. And the other person who is here is Chalmers. And Chalmers is also actor, playwright, lives in Freeport, Maine, which is the home of L.L. Bean, among other things. And I guess I'll let Chalmers say something first because he said he has to go, and then I'll let Pat say what she wants to say.
I consider myself.
Chalmers, you look sharp.
What?
I said you look sharp.
Oh, I consider myself a playwright first, although I'm a ham, so I like to act. But that was an interesting character, and I had a couple of friends whom I'm staying with, and they were somewhat complimentary about my acting, which was nice to hear. I wish we could have done this not in reality. It would have been fun to fall from the statue and
Oh, yeah.
come up drunk, but couldn't do it. But that's about all I have to say. Thank you, Laura, for casting me.
And thank you for doing it. You get my words right.
Did a great job. Very good.
Yes,
We
great
appreciate
job.
it.
Okay.
Absolutely.
I've got to run, but thanks for everything, everybody.
Thanks, Chalmers.
Okay,
All
see you
right.
next week, I think.
Yeah.
Patricia, let's hear from you.
Well, I think of politicians as being very, forthright and kind of strong individuals. So I try to bring those aspects to this character. I do remember the story about Don Imus in Bangor, and I didn't have all the details, so it was really fun to hear the whole story. So the fact that she appears as a ghost first, then a real person in the memory of another person, and then back to being the ghost again was kind of intriguing to me, and it was fun to play with those aspects. I'm not sure there's much more I can say about it, except I enjoyed it.
strong woman.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, you know, I love the strong women characters in the show, Laura. Very nice.
Yeah, your shock jock reminded me of, we have, well, I don't even know if we have him anymore, but there used to be a shock jock here called Bubba the Love Sponge. And he would do everything in his power to be offensive and to get attention and stuff like that. So your shock jock reminded me a lot of him.
Yeah.
Yeah. I really love the characters and the relationship and how nicely it built Laura. And I love how we found out more and more of the backstory and relationship to them. And I also felt like Paul Bunyan was the fifth character. He was just so prominently there. And I mean, physically and part of the story as well. And I love the way you guys just added that little touch of turning the dream into black and white.
Yeah.
It was just
Yeah, that
subtle,
was
but
cool.
that was really cool. And I wondered if you realized when you looked back at the story, how many items are kind of foreshadowing where we are now, like with the shock jock and just all of the issues, homelessness, and you know the child, and you know all of the different elements that came together, the female politicians. Did you, I mean, I'm sure you did, but how did you discover all of those different elements and looking back at the history?
I don't know. It seemed back in 2018 when I wrote it that things were pretty screwed up. We were just getting into the Hillary Clinton. Actually, we were after that, but I was still reacting to the Clinton and Donald Trump horrible contest. And somebody dinged me for repeatedly referring to Don Imus as Donald, but I was doing that deliberately because I was trying to make this parallel between him and Trump and the bullying.
Yes.
That was a lot of what was happening at that point in time. I don't know. I feel now like everybody else is writing about the pandemic and I can't write about the pandemic. You've had some good shows about the pandemic, in fact, in the earlier productions this week. I don't know if this feels timely. Great. It's just a lot of persistent problems that I think don't go away. And so we still have some of the same ones with us, only worse.
Yeah.
So
true.
Alicia, what did you think of the show?
Oh, I really liked the characters were really engaging. I liked the former mayor actually reminded me of one of our former mayors in Santa Cruz. Someone who's been in, you know, tough woman who was in our politics, you know, big political player in Santa Cruz for a long time. But I thought the story about the young man was really about Sid was really kind of touching. And I was wondering why did you use that frame to tell the Don Imus story? Like, what was the connection? It all really held together, but I was wondering, how did you come up with that way of framing it?
Great question.
It still has a sense of, it was hard to fit the historical piece into a narrative, into a story, but I knew I needed the time distance on it because Don Imus got worse. And I do think that comment about the nappy-headed hose is just about one of the worst things anybody has ever said on air.
I so clearly remember that.
Yeah. So, I mean, the connection is that he would have to wear something offensive, having to wear that jacket, whereas Paul Bunyan was supposedly going to have to wear the t-shirt. I struggled for a long time. I almost did cast somebody as Paul Bunyan to stand there as a statue and maybe come to light. So I really had trouble figuring out how to frame the story. And I can tell you some of the things that I think or hope make it come together and hang together, about shaming and respect, about wearing something symbolic like a jacket or a police uniform, and what it means to wear a uniform, the things people assume based on that. The original incident, though, about whether Paul Bunyan was going to wear that T-shirt or not, at the time was both ridiculously silly and dead serious. And I guess somehow that's what I was trying to capture in both the historical story within the story and the fictional piece, that what he's being asked to do, to wear that jacket, is both silly and dead serious at the same time. He could have just laughed it off, oh yeah, I'll wear this thing. But to him, it really was very symbolic and terribly shaming. And that's what Donald Imus was trying to do, was be just deliberately mean and shaming. The actor who played who played Joe Fortier in the production, who actually has a lot of real acting credits, said Don Imus isn't really that mean. He only did it for the ratings.
Yeah,
That's probably true.
but you know
But
what?
it
He
was
still did it.
so harmful. And one of my other actors, who played Nola, she was explaining what happened to her daughter. And she said that sentence to her about the nappy-headed hose. And she said her teenage daughter's eyes just got really wide. He actually said that? And Catherine said, yes, he managed to be racist and misogynistic in one short sentence. And he did. And so somehow that just was so meaningful to me, so mean. And he was also that cruel and mean and vicious to Patricia Blanchett. She stood up and took it, but it is a lot of what people remember about her, as opposed to all the important things she did for this area. I didn't know her, I just knew her peripherally as a politician when she was alive. But she was a very strong woman and represented the legislature, mayor, all those things.
I like that aspect of, you know, a community is made up of all kinds of different characters, you know, men and women, and, you know, you profiled the mayor and you definitely got in there all the things that she did accomplish, you know.
Yeah.
And that's a lot of hard work to do that.
It is hard to get the information in there without it sounding like, you know, a history lesson.
Right.
So that's,
yeah, but I thought you did that
feeling
nicely.
pretty good about the script. I still feels like it's got a, I mean, there's never enough rehearsal time. There's words here and there. Okay, I need this word, I need that word, but I'm glad that we did it again. And I'm really pleased that it has legs outside of just Bangor.
Yeah. Me too.
We would like to, Laura, I know we had quite a few people that bought festival passes that couldn't watch it tonight. And so we would like them to be able to watch the recording if you give us permission to do that.
Oh, sure, of course.
You know, next week sometime, so that those people that bought the festival passes could sit down at their leisure. And we're going to give them like a period of time, like a, you know, a couple of days or 1 week or something, and say you can watch the show during this time, you know, so that a lot more people will be able to watch it and learn more about history, something that happened in Bangor, you know, Bangor, Maine, you know, so very interesting.
Laura, do you think you could ever continue the story with just the relationship between the officer and Sid, like their friendship? Because it just, when it ended, I was like, oh man, I want to know what, you know, did they continue being friends? And
I hadn't thought about it. Probably, I don't know that I'm going to go anyplace else with this. It feels like it still has a little tweaking to do, but basically the story is as complete as I want it to be. I do get some resistance from some old school theater people about a 1 hour play, but audiences like it. that it isn't long enough, that it should be 2 acts, or I have several pieces that are about this length, but audiences seem to love it, that particular almost an hour length.
We've
I
been
don't know.
talking
I
about
think I
that.
need to pursue the other Bangor history idea that I had at the time that I didn't pursue. And it's not nearly as specific to Bangor, but it's another sort of an interesting historical situation where there was an iconic restaurant called Pilot's Grill that was vacant for a long time. And somebody was going to turn it into a strip club restaurant. That got people in the community very upset. And he went through all the processes and the permits and over the protests, got everything approved, and ended up deciding not to do it. I can't do this to my community if they are that upset about it. And that seems sort of like something that would have some dramatic possibility to it as well.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So since I'm having a hard time coming up with new ideas for plays, I think I may go back and try to do something with that thread. Just the notion of everything made sense so that this project should go ahead, and this vacant building that used to be, a thriving business should come back, but it's a strip club. And I don't even know how I feel about strip clubs.
Yeah.
I don't entirely. I mean, you go up to Canada or you go to Europe, it's just so there and part of life. But that one did not happen. And as far as I know, that building is still, boarded up windows and wind whistling through it.
Mm.
I don't know if that's a happy ending or not, but
Mhm.
that's how it came out. So I think I'm going to do something with that.
Well, Laura, I think what's important is that you continue to write. You packed an awful lot in this play. There was all kinds of little subtexts and relationships and conversations, between the young girl and her aunt, about should I stay in this city? Should I go? Just very simple conversations that I really enjoyed. So keep writing,
Mhm.
and of course,
Ants
write.
play a big part in my plays, and Elisa knows one of the reasons why an aunt might play a big role in my life and be very important. So that's a recurring theme in my
Oh,
plays.
very good, very good. Does anybody have any questions for Laura?
It's been a long week. I've tried to watch all of them, and anyway, I'll shut up for a moment, see if anybody has any questions.
Does anyone have some questions or comments for Laura?
Well done,
I-
Laura, you and the whole cast.
Thank you. Jackie is part of our USM group too.
Oh, cool.
Sorry,
Hey,
I'm not.
Jackie, I love the pictures of the mountains and the red flowers that you have
Yeah,
here.
that's the Dolomites.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
Cool.
Anyway,
Oh,
I'm
beautiful.
sorry, I'm not presentable. I rushed home and I'm not presentable, so you're seeing my mountains instead of me.
There you go.
Uh,
Well, Laura, we thank you for being part of this festival. We'll have a closing ceremony, and we'll all get together again and stuff. And this is the closing night of a whole week of plays, and then we starting it on Wednesday with another whole week of plays. And every play has been interesting and different, and been just delightful. Some are short, some are long, some were short, some were too long.
Mhm.
But they've all been great. So I thank you for using your talents and your gifts. And if anyone doesn't have any other questions, we'll call it a night.
Good night.
Night.
Good night.
Thank you so